Antar. Good evening by you. You're calling in from India. And how are you today?
I'm doing great. Absolutely good. Hi, Sharon. How are you doing?
I'm fine, dear. I'm fine. Welcome to the podcast and let everybody hear who you are.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Antar. I'm a certified mindset, confidence, and a wellness coach. And I'm the founder of the Inner Elixir coaching practice and the author of The Inner Elixir, Unlocking the Power of Clarity, Confidence, and Connection. And I'm based in India. Okay, so just beyond these titles and everything, I'm someone who knows what it's like, what it feels like to be stuck, to feel invisible while doing everything right. There was a time in my life I was living a life that looked fine from the outside but felt hollow on the inside. And I was chasing validation, productivity, perfection, but losing connection with myself. So that realization that the life I was living didn't feel like my own was both painful and freeing. Painful because I had to face the truth, freeing because I could finally begin again, this time with more authenticity and courage. And it's just how we connect with each other is through stories. So before we deep dive into our conversation, I would like to say something about my own personal story because stories is a way of connecting with each other and they remind us that even though our experiences differ, the emotions underneath they are universal. Emotions like love, loss, courage, hope. And maybe in hearing mine, you'll see a reflection of your own.
Tell me what you do as a profession right now besides life coach.
Okay, currently I am working with a pharmaceutical company as a patient safety specialist, and I'm into drug vigilance. Whatever the drugs they come into the market, there's a vigilance over all the drugs. So I work with the company, but in the PD unit of the company. So basically, into corporate lifestyle for over around 12 years now. And yeah, there was a time, when everything was good, and slowly the job becomes kind of mundane with time, and got to learn a lot from the job. And slowly and steadily, yeah, life goes on.
And what made you want to be a life coach?
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good question. Uh, like since my story begins in childhood. So since childhood, like like every childhood story, my childhood was filled with love, but also with loss. So when my father he fell ill and he passed away, I had to grow up overnight. Like I became the strong one, helping everyone, caring for everybody, holding everything together. And being the strong one, it definitely gave me purpose, but it also came with a cost. I learned to hide my vulnerability. I learned that strength meant silence, that women were expected to sacrifice, to hold others, to never fall apart. So I became the dependable one at home, at work, with friends. Everyone could rely on me. But inside, I was running on empty. The more I gave, the less I had left for myself. Then came the pandemic, and suddenly everything just stopped. The noise, the motion, the distractions. I was forced to sit in stillness, something I had avoided for years. And in that silence, all the emotions I had buried rose to the surface: the grief, the anxiety, the loneliness. I remember feeling lost, unable to express what was happening inside of me. When I finally reached out, people said, you're the strong one. You can't feel like this. I mean, you always keep it together. How can you just feel like that?" And that even hurt more, realizing that I had become invisible even in my own pain. But that stillness, as uncomfortable as it was, became my turning point. It stripped away everything false and brought me face to face with myself. And in that quiet, I picked up a pen and I just began to write, began to journal, and my journal became my mirror, a space where I could finally tell myself the truth. I turned to meditation, to breath work. At first, it wasn't peaceful. It was raw. Stillness brought up everything I had avoided, but breath by breath, I learned to stay. I learned that healing isn't about escaping, it's about facing. And slowly, I began seeing the patterns, my own self doubt, my lack of boundaries, my fear of not being enough. So once I saw them, I couldn't unsee them. And that's when I realized the answers I'd been chasing outside. In validation, in relationships, in achievements, were never going to fulfill me because the answers had always been within. I just needed to listen. And that realization became the foundation of my work as a coach. So I became a coach because I know what it feels like to live in survival mode, to hold it all together on the outside while quietly falling apart inside. And I know the other side, the peace that comes when you stop running and start returning to yourself, the quiet confidence that doesn't need to prove anything, the freedom that comes from trusting your own voice. Someone once created that safe space for me, a space where I could be seen and heard without judgment. And that changed everything. That's what I now offer as a coach, a space where you can remove the mask of I'm doing fine, a space where your story matters, a space where you can reconnect with your truth gently, courageously, and at your own pace. Because transformation doesn't begin when someone tells you who to be. It begins when you finally feel safe enough to be yourself. So, through the inner elixir, I help people move from self criticism to self trust. I help them rebuild confidence, not the loud kind that seeks validation, but the grounded kind that whispers, I can handle this. I help them heal the relationship they have with themselves. Because when you make peace within, every other relationship shifts. And most importantly, I remind them that you're not broken, you're not behind. You're simply in a chapter that's asking you to grow. So, my story is one of remembering my own strength, my own voice, my worth. And that's what I hope for you too. Because every story has a turning point. Sometimes it comes through silence, sometimes through storms. Maybe for you, this moment, this message could be that beginning. So, the journey to clarity, confidence, and connection doesn't start when someone else chooses you. It begins when you choose yourself, and maybe that choice begins right now. Thank you, Sharon.
It can't be easy for the women living in India due to upbringing. Girls aren't number one, religion, poverty. How are you, Antar?
Actually, the place that I come from, uh, even there, women like my early childhood, like my grandmother, she used to think like, there's no need to make girls study, they don't need education, just marry them off. They just should be told what to do at home. All those stories which we've heard and everything. But my father, he he was a very different person. He had a very different mindset. He had a very different mindset as per the people of that time. He valued education, though he wasn't very well educated himself, but he wanted his kids to be well educated. And he took all the steps, almost he left his own home and he shifted. to some other place so that his daughters could study in good schools. So that's what my childhood has been like, more inspiring than anything that I had seen around. And only through his efforts, we could study. Today, all of my siblings, we are well settled, we are educated in comparison to our, relatives at that point of time who thought, girls don't need to be educated. So, yes, being in India, coming from a place, where education for women was like not required or something like it was not essential. But one man or one person, he stood for us. He stood for he's an example for so many people in our family. Like today, he's not with us, but people still remember him, with they honor him and they see us and they say today, and we proudly can say that, you know, he did good with his daughters. So that's a blessing that we had in our life. Not everybody in India has that.
How can you, Antar, spread the word?
Yeah, that's one mission that I have, that I want to really work on. Like everybody around me, every woman that I see around me, or all the next generations coming up, I have been a source of inspiration. I've been inspiring them to do something for themselves and not be dependent in marriages on husbands or otherwise, stand up for yourself, So, uh, all even the worker class that come to our house, I make sure that they get an education to a particular class so that they can live a life of respect rather than just just the loop of uh, raising kids and working in the house and living miserable lives at the hands of their husbands. So that's one mission that I really have in mind, to help women, uh, because they have a right to education. They should get their education and they should stand for themselves.
Let's talk about Women for Women's Truth. What made you join it?
Of course, one thing that made me join the group was you. You have been a source of inspiration for us, and I look up to you for a lot many things. Your story, talking to you, has been so inspiring, and that's one reason that I wanted to join this group. Otherwise, the thing that I have in mind for this group, like Women for Women's Truth, it's just not a group. I think it's a great idea. It's an idea. It's a movement. Like what I think of about it as providing a healing circle uh, for women, a remembrance that one woman's voice becomes another woman's mirror. So when one woman speaks her truth, you know, that whispers to another soul. It tells other women that they're not alone and they're being seen, they're being valued, and the road that they want to walk on, we will walk with them so that they can get a, you know, life that they dream of living. Because for generations, women, they have carried these stories in silence, stories of resilience, of heartbreak, and becoming. Some felt too heavy, too shameful, or too small to matter. Yet inside every woman lives a library of truth, which is waiting to be heard. And many of us, we were taught since early on to stay very agreeable, to keep the peace, to hide our pain. And we learn to smile through the struggles, to shrink our brilliance, to carry burdens quietly. Silence, it feels safe, definitely, but it comes at a cost. And when we hide, it even grows heavier. What we repress turns into tension, anxiety, even illness. And yet, when a woman finally breaks that silence, something extraordinary happens. The mask falls, the armor cracks, and the strength, not weakness, is revealed. And I remember the first time a woman spoke her truth to me. It was not a prettied thing, not a half told thing, but a raw and real statement. She spoke of shame, she spoke of loneliness, and the exhaustion of trying to be enough. Her honesty startled me, but more than that, it freed me. Her courage gave me permission to breathe deeper, to admit what I was holding to. That is the ripple effect of truth. So one woman dares to speak, and dozens more find the courage to follow. Because truth telling is contagious. It disrupts silence, it loosens shame, and it births connection. So we live in a culture that pits women against each other. Who's more successful, more beautiful, more loved? But when the truth enters the room, comparison it loses its grip. Because beneath the surface, our struggles are profoundly shared. Like when one woman whispers, I felt invisible in my marriage. Another one nods, me too. And when someone confesses, I fear failing, so I keep myself small. Another sighs in relief. I know that fear. So that's how walls crumble and bridges form. Truth replaces competition with compassion. Because there's a healing in truth. To speak your story is to release its weight. To listen to another woman's story is to receive her wisdom. So healing doesn't fix when we fix ourselves, it begins when we are witnessed. When someone says, I hear you, the hidden part of us finally exhales. So, Women for Women's Truth reminds us that your scars are not shameful, they are stories. Your doubts don't make you weak, they make you real. Your boundaries aren't rejection, they're love in motion. So, when truth is shared, the healing multiplies. So, my vision through Women for Women's Truth is to help women build healthier relationships with themselves. Because how we treat ourselves sets the tone for every relationship we have. So, I want to create a circle where no woman feels invisible or voiceless, where truth is not punished, it is celebrated. A space where women rise together, not by perfection, but by presence. A woman rooted in truth is unshakable. She becomes a force of clarity, compassion, and confidence. She remembers her worth was never tied to silence, but to her full, unapologetic voice. So, Women for Women's Truth is an invitation to drop the mask, to loosen the armor, to stand in the light of who you truly are. It's a reminder that one voice can free another. The courage is contagious, and that every time a woman tells her truth, she speaks not only for herself, but for all those still finding the words. So if you're holding the truth inside you, something unsaid, something waiting, let this be your permission to speak it. Speak it softly or boldly, but just speak it because your truth matters. Your voice matters. And in speaking it, you may just light the way for another woman to rise.
That was very profound, Anton. Like, if you had one vision for this group, and it was your vision, only your vision, what would you do? And where would you bring it?
If it would have been only my vision,
Yeah.
I would love, every woman in this world to, you know, to feel valued, to feel beautiful every single day. And obviously, education, that is one thing I really strive for, I really stand for. And I would love to help in any way for any woman who wants to study, who wants to be educated, to get that education wherever she wants it to be,
Now I'm going to put you on.
howsoever I can help.
I'm going to put you on the spot now. As we know, a lot of women out there who have families are in a position sometimes in poverty. And when they would call up, they would specify they're too poor to get help. In that circumstance,
That's a
can
really good question.
we can I'll just preface saying you can't do it to a thousands of women because of only one person. We'll go with Antar. Putting you on the spot, I know, but this is something that everybody fast thought about it, and I know what I would do, and just a feeling. I know I'm kidding.
Yeah, I agree.
But your truth. I want to hear your truth. I don't want to hear a story.
Yeah, if someone reaches out to me and says then I'm in poverty and I mean I would try to help her in any way I can out of my means, maybe ask her to reach out to some, or maybe I myself reach out to some organizations who can support this. And in the near future, be a part of such an organization that I'm really looking on also to be a part of, which supports women. Yeah, I know I honestly, I cannot help every woman in this everywhere, maybe financially I won't be able to help her, but yes, for any other kind of way that I can be of help, I will try to help her. Honestly, I've not really thought about this thing exactly and how.
Yeah, I'm talking about as a life coach.
Okay, as a life coach, I would definitely want to, yeah, coach her on this. Definitely. And yeah, we can together maybe,
Because once
get to something.
we go live, which will be in the new year, with the podcast, I have no doubt there'll be many women calling and making that comment. And we have to have answers for that, not just leave them hanging. And again, we can't do it to everyone. I mean, but I hope we would all be able to do it to some. And the ones we can help, we'll find out for them. That's the goal for me in
Yeah,
this group. That's the charity I want.
exactly.
Um,
And in the aspect of coaching, which I thought was like I cannot go and coach everybody in this world. So uh, I write books. I've written a book by the name of The Inner Elixir, which in itself is kind of a small, kind of a coaching thing. Like a person, if you cannot go in for coaching directly, you can go through the book. The book has various prompts. It has different kinds of small exercises which people can do, which can help them, uh, through the blend of stories, reflections, practical tools to help people move past and rediscover their inner compass. So, writing it was for me, it was just, it's my way of putting coaching in people's hands. So, even those who may never sit with me in a session, they can begin their journey of transformation. So, that's one way I want to help people. And that's one way of, helping without actually sitting and coaching with people. Writing.
right. Where do you think in the future we will be?
We will be at a very good spot and we will be helping as many women as possible, as much, you know, we can help. and we will be good, doing great, coaching people, helping them come out of stuckness, helping them live their lives, especially women. I know. Uh, yeah, I guess in the future, we will be, through webinars and everything, women will approach us. And definitely, because we have a vision, a mission, and we have that, we are absolutely committed to what we want to do. So obviously, things will start falling into place. And because the vision that we see, everything will come up to us and we will be able to help women. We will, once, when our heart is clear and our heart is, we have the right intention. If our intention is right, help will come for us. So I see myself, or I see as a group, all of us, uh, being able to help women all over the world, not only India, but all across the globe.
Okay. I want to thank you for joining us today, Antar. And I want to thank bottom of my heart be a part of WWT. And I will see you next on the webinar.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, for being a part of this group. And yeah, I'll see you around. See you in the webinar.
See you, babe.